Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the News Today edition of 27th of November, wherein we pick up all important news for the day and make you understand such news from UPSC examination perspective. So let's look at the important news which we're going to cover today. First is our Honorable Chief Justice has told that Supreme Court would consider a PIL which is seeking to revive the National Judicial Appointment Commission. Then there has been a release of report, that is Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying has released the basic animal husbandry statistics report of 2025. Union Cabinet has approved a scheme to manufacture rare earth magnets in India. And lastly, on the occasion of celebration of Constitution Day, our Honorable Prime Minister has called on for the citizens to uphold fundamental duties. We are going to see place in news, that is Slovenia, along with quick updates for the day. So the very first news is our Honorable Chief Justice of India has again orally in a conversation have given this idea that again they are going to consider a plea or a PIL which is trying to revive the idea of National Judicial Appointment Commission. Again, I'll discuss what exactly is this. So basically the idea of appointment of judges in higher judiciary in Supreme Court and High Courts, there is a process. So that process we are going to discuss today. So this National Judicial Appointment Commission Act was enacted by the Parliament through the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act in the year 2014. In 2015, Supreme Court declared that this act is unconstitutional and declared them as null void because they are against the violation of basic structure of the Constitution. Basic structure of the Constitution was given in the Keshavananda Bharati case of 1973. So again, this is where many important factual pieces of let's say your polity subjects comes up in the news, and that becomes important from examination perspective. So let's look at what exactly is the appointment process, what exactly is this collegium process. So the collegium process, we know the three judges cases, first judge's case, second judge's case, the third judge's cases. So the collegium system which we follow as of now is the result of judicial interpretation as far as the third judge's case is concerned. So again, how judges are going to be appointed for higher judiciary, for Supreme Court and for High Court, this is done through the collegium process. So we are going to discuss who are these collegium and what is the process. So they basically outline a memorandum of procedure. So this procedure is an agreement between the government and the judiciary that how exactly we are going to follow the appointment process for judges of Supreme Court and High Court. That is called as memorandum of procedure. So this basically is done at the collegium is at two levels. One is collegium for Supreme Court appointments, and there's a different process for High Court appointments. So basically the idea is we have the basic structure of the Constitution tells we have a fundamental principles of maintaining independence of judiciary. What is the independence of judiciary? Because if you understand, in majority of litigants which is there in the judiciary of the country, one of the party is the government. So what if government is the party who is having a role in the appointment of judges? So is it not a conflict of interest? This is where we have the Constitution, the judiciary has made sure that again we are going to maintain independence of judiciary to provide justice in a fair manner. So that has been the basic idea. So what is this collegium system for Supreme Court judge and High Court judges? So for Supreme Court judges, as for the third judge's case, it consists of number one, the Chief Justice of India and plus the four senior most judges of Supreme Court. So it consists of CGI plus the four senior most judges of the Supreme Court, and they basically on the basis of seniority, merit, regional representation, diversity, background checks for the government, they give their name to the government and the Prime Minister, and then again Prime Minister maybe gives that name to the President, and then the appointment happens. So that is the basic process for collegium system for appointment of judges for Supreme Court. In case of High Court, there is a two-level collegium. The first level is High Court collegium. The first step is in the respective High Court, wherein the appointment has to be made for a particular judge. So the Chief Justice of that High Court plus the two senior most High Court judges are going to give names, that who are the persons who we are thinking to appoint as a judge in this particular High Court. Then those names are being sent to the second body, it is Supreme Court Collegium. It consists of Chief Justice of India plus two senior most judges of the Supreme Court. So they are sending their names. The names are being given to the Supreme Court Collegium. And in this matter, there is one more addition, what they're doing, that again, of course, in Supreme Courts, there would be some judges who would have maybe served in any of the respective high courts. Let's say we are talking about the High Court of Chhattisgarh. For example, so let's say the Chhattisgarh High Court, this collegium sent the name to Supreme Court Collegium. If there is any judge in Supreme Court who would have worked in the High Court of Chhattisgarh, he would also be consulted as in a consultation manner as far as this process is concerned. So consultation with Supreme Court judges familiar with that High Court. So the process, of course, here is that Collegium is going to send the name High Court Collegium to Supreme Court Collegium. Supreme Court Collegium is going to give the names to the government and government to the president, and then appointment happens. So this is what we follow as of now for appointment of judges of Supreme Court and appointment of judges of High Court. But where does NJAC comes into picture? So in 2014, it was seen, and again the idea was, we are talking about democracy. We have three organs of the government, that is executive, legislature, and the judiciary. And we have a doctrine of separation of powers, that again, all three organs have been given their dedicated task to be done. And again, none of them are going to interfere in each other's matters. But again, we also have a principle of checks and balances. So in order to maintain that no organ of the government is overpowering over the other organ, we have a principle of checks and balances. So this is again an idea where again the parliament in the year 2014, they went to change this collegium system, and this is called as the fourth judge's case. So in this fourth judge's case, the Parliament of India enacted a law or an act, that is National Judicial Appointment Commission Act. So they told the judiciary is not only the sole authority to decide how and who will be appointed as a judge of Supreme Court or High Court. So there is a consultation process which has to be taken up by other organs as well. So this is where they proposed a collegium or a system where again they talked about that the system of or the persons who are going to decide the judges, that panel will consist of 6 members. So 6 members consist of CGI, again the two senior most judges, plus the union law minister. Again, it is a part of which organ? The executive organ of the government, and it would also consist of 2 eminent persons, and these 2 eminent persons from civil society, who will be the one who will decide who these 2 eminent persons going to be: the Prime Minister along with the Chief Justice of India and the leader of opposition of the parliament. So this was the process. So this is basically was trying to maintain that there is a process of transparency, because in collegium the entire system is happening within the 4 walls of judiciary. How exactly they are consulting, what is the discussion being going on, it is not basically coming out. So this is where the idea was, let's make the process of appointment of judges more transparent, and we are going to maintain checks and balances. Let's say if judiciary is there, maybe let's say legislature or the executive, we have a separation of power. So in the appointment of these judges, which was initially considered that again independence have to be maintained, but we have an idea of checks and balances. So maybe this is how we are checking on the judiciary as well through the executive. So this was an idea which was put forward in this 4 judges case, that is the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. In 2015, what was the result? Supreme Court has held that this NJAC is violating the basic structure of the Constitution. There is nowhere mentioned what constitutes basic structure in the text of the Constitution. After the Keshavananda Bharati case of 1973, Supreme Court time and again have interpreted what constitutes the basic structure of the Constitution. The basic idea, of course, here is anything in the Constitution can be changed by the Parliament, but there is something called as basic structure. So that cannot be changed in the Constitution. So Supreme Court in 2015 told कि sir, in this basic structure we have a fundamental principle of maintaining independence of judiciary, certain independence of judiciary. So if this NJAC Act is again violating the idea of independence of judiciary. How, sir? Because executive is interfering in the matters of judicial appointment. So this was the case, and on the basis of this, Supreme Court struck down this act as null and void. So again, the idea and the idea which they threw was that this is going to maybe politicize the whole appointment process. The eminent persons is going to have a veto power. So maybe if they have a veto power, so again the appointment process would get delayed, right? And again they restored the original collegium system. So this is a scenario what we have seen till now. So let's say why this debate and why this revival of National Judicial Appointment Commission is back in news. So the concerns with collegium system. So number one, opacity, matlab opaque, कि there is no clear clarity. People are not able to clearly see that on what basis, on what criteria, what is the discussion which is being going on with respect to the collegium. That again the CGI along with 4 senior most judge, on what parameters they are deciding, what is the maybe and what are the reasoning they are giving. So there is a very opaque kind of appointment process which this collegium system have. And again, no reasons are being given for selections and rejections, number one. Then number two is accountability deficit. So no one is answerable. Let's say if judiciary is appointing any person, and if someone from the democracy is telling that again we are not liking and again we don't want this person as the judiciary or the Supreme Court judge. So is the judiciary answerable to this? No. So there is no accountability. This is a core right of democracy because we are living in a country where again democracy tells rule by the people, for the people, of the people. So again, where is judiciary immune from the ideas of judiciary? So this is something talking about the ideas of accountability. Then exclusionary. We have seen that there is a very poor representation of vulnerable sections, specifically women, SC, STs, OBCs in the higher judiciary specifically. Then no constitutional basis. The collegium system is just a judicial interpretation. In the judges' cases, they have decided this way of appointment of judges. So it does not have any constitutional basis. The text of the constitution never tells that this is the process which you need to follow as far as the appointment of judges in the courts are concerned. Okay? Next is vacancies, because many times there is a, let's say, conflict due to centers, collegium differences. The collegium sends a name, the center is disagreeing to it, and again that leads to delay in the process of appointment of judges. And lastly, there is an idea that again sometimes this collegium system is also, there is a possibility that they can go for favoritism. Because let's say if a CGI, it's just a hypothetical thing I'm talking about, CGI and 4 senior most judge. Let's say these 5 people out of all judges who are there in the appointment, let's say category, they have some kind of favoritism for some person. So there are chances of some kind of biasness as well. That is being discussed, right? Then what are the negatives of application or maybe the implementation of NJAC? NJAC is doing what? Executive interference, which is again a violation of basic structure. Then eminent persons, the civil society, 2 members. So they can be influenced by the government or by the people. That is also a possibility. The law minister adds a political weight in the appointment process. Then it could weaken the whole idea of separation of power. And the idea of the committed judiciary is going to come down. That is, if let's say executive will have a say in the appointment of judiciary, so there is a high chances that again judiciary will try to obey orders of the government, wherein they know na ki government is the one who is going to appoint me. So maybe they will start favoring the executive or the government. So these are the negatives as far as NJAC model is concerned. So what exactly is the way forward? Where do we come into picture? Let's say if we discuss the problems of NJAC, we have discussed the problems of collegium. So what is the way forward? The way forward is ki why not to go for something called as collegium plus model. What is collegium plus model? It tells ki judges should be there. the CGI plus 4 senior, whatever the matter is, plus why you're not including some independent members. So, and again, make the process more transparent. Let people know on what basis, on what grounds, give a clarity to the people of the country that on what basis, on what grounds, on what criteria you have appointed that particular judge as a judge of a High Court or Supreme Court. Then every reasons of selection have to be kept in a recorded format. Clear? Then one more model is, if we are having problem with NJAC as an idea where again we are trying, of course we are telling that again it is going to violate the basic structure and the independence of judiciary. So why not limit the role of executive in that NJAC model? Or the eminent persons should be truly independent and they should not get influenced by the government. So the appointment of these two members have to be changed. And then safeguards for judicial independence. So that has to be done in the NJAC model so that it can also be revived. Or maybe the memorandum of procedure, that is an agreement between the government and the judiciary that how exactly the appointment have to be made. So maybe include diversity criteria so that SC, STs, OBCs, women can also be included in the judicial appointment. Then fixed timeline for appointment so that again the delay in the appointment process won't happen. Then greater disclosure, maybe disclose facts, maybe inform people. They have a right to know in the democracy that on what basis these appointments are being done. So these are the few proposed solution for the appointment process of judiciary. So again, very beautiful piece of news, very important from examination perspective. As far as paper number 2, let's say polity, the idea of judiciary organ as the third organ of the government is concerned, very important. And again, there have been multiple questions from the topic, of course. Let's see one question. 19, they have asked this question. The 44th Amendment to the Constitution of India introduced article placing election of Prime Minister beyond judicial review. Again, a concern, what is judicial review? Judicial review basically means that any act of the parliament, if it has been made, judiciary has a power to review this, whether it is abiding by the rules, by the text of the constitution or not. If it is violative of the constitution, then again that law has to be declared as null and void. Then the second statement tells the Supreme Court of India struck down the 99th Amendment to the Constitution of India as being violative of independence of judiciary. We have discussed this. So in comment, tell me the answer to the question. And again, make sure that again, because we are understanding all the news, we are reading all the news in the newspapers to clear the examination. So my idea is not to get awareness. It is important for a common man, but again, I am as an aspirant reading news to clear the examination. So I should understand what kind of questions are being asked, where I can use this content in my answer writing, how the questions would be framed from these set of news as far as prelims examination is concerned. So that clarity has to be very much clear with respect to news. So again, one question of mains, critically examine the Supreme Court's judgment on National Judicial Appointment Commission Act 2014 with reference to appointment of judges of higher judicial India. We have discussed the pros and cons of both systems. You can mention that in the answer. So please attempt this and at least in brief tell me the basic, let's say, approach. How will you write or some pointers of maybe the critical examiner tells both sides, positives, negatives. So tell me that. So that is how you're going to give me in comment the answers. The next topic here is, so Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying has released a report which talks about Basic Animal Husbandry Statistics Report of 2025. So whenever these reports are being released by the government, you're going to use such reports in your answer writing. That is, and again, and some facts which are coming up in these reports become a question for your prelims examination. That is the utility of these kind of reports. Who releases this report, why this report has released, and how you can going to use them in your answer writing process. That is something which we need to learn. So again, animal husbandry, again, primarily a topic of economics under the topic of GS paper number 3, agriculture and allied sectors. So let's see what is the importance of this report first of all. So it tells, the idea is India's livestock sector, it has seen a growth, digital transformation and good leadership. So why this report matters is because livestock, what is livestock? Maybe talk about cattle rearing, maybe talk about, let's say chicken rearing. So all of those, maybe along with agriculture, many people are doing allied activities. So this livestock sector is approximately contributing 25 to 30% of agricultural GDP in India. And again, it is rising in a faster pace than the crops. It is sometimes giving a cushion to the farmers, meaning, let's say, crop failures can happen. We see the idea of climate change happening in the country. So again, it's possibility that again, crop failure ho gaya. And again, where does farmer get the money? This is where he has some cushion. Why? Because the farmer is also indulged in this allied sector activities. For example, livestock rearing. So this is again giving some kind of risk cushion to the farmers. Then it is supporting the idea of nutritional security of India. We are fighting malnutrition in the country, right? So again, this is one of the SDG goals as well. So again, this whole livestock sector, the milks, eggs, meat are the good source of protein. Then, and again, all of these products of the livestock sector have a huge potential as far as export of India is concerned. So what does this report or the statistics gives us an analysis? It tells as far as milk production in India is concerned, we have celebrated National Milk Day. This year we are celebrating Year of Cooperatives, so very important topic for your examination. Cooperative societies as a topic of prelims and mains in paper number 2. Then again, National Milk Day is celebrated maybe on 26th. That is why it was so important. So as far as milk production in India is concerned, the report tells that India is globally ranking at first level with respect to production of milk. And this is the amount. No need to remember the data as far as the facts of how much milk production is required. But again, you need to analyze that trend. I'll make you understand how and why. So the per capita availability is increasing, and again, which was it was initially 309 grams per day. It has increased to 485 grams per day, again due to the increased production. And the top producing states. This is an important fact for your prelims examination. So the top producing states include Uttar Pradesh, followed by Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. And again, India is producing 25% of the world's milk. Again, a prelims fact. Clear? Then as far as egg is concerned, again a good source of protein, India is ranking second globally as far as the production of eggs are concerned. Again, maybe you understand that again, the per capita availability has reached 106 numbers per annum. And again, the top producing states are Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, West Bengal, Karnataka. At least remember the first 3 states. Again, a fact for your prelims examination. Then the other 2 things which have been discussed here is meat production. So as far as meat production is concerned, India is ranking globally at a 4th level with the idea of meat production, right? And from poultry specifically, the meat constitutes 5.18 million out of the 10.5 million tons of meat which India is producing. And the top producing states are West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana. Again, a prelims fact. As far as wool, from ships we extract wool. So total production has, of course, is estimated to be around this 34.57 million per kg. This is where we need a little bit of improvement, because at a global level we are not standing anywhere as far as other countries' wool production is concerned. And the top producing states are, of course, Rajasthan, Jammu and Kashmir, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Himachal Pradesh. So important facts which are very much important for your prelims examination. Again, why we have done so well with respect to the livestock sector. So there have been some policies and schemes which are being run by the government, which has led to the good result what we are seeing in this particular report. So what have been done? Let's see one by one. So we have the National Digital Livestock Mission, that is again talking about this. Then e-Gopala scheme, which is again talking about the ideas of digital animal husbandry platform. Then we have National Animal Disease Control Program. And we have Rashtriya Gokul Mission for breed improvement. So all of these, there are many other schemes as well. So all of these schemes have made sure that again we are doing well on the front of livestock sector in India. Again, very important schemes in news for your prelims examination, right? So Now, as far as mains examination is concerned, where you can use this data in your answer writing, that has to be very much seen. So, सिर्फ report नहीं पढ़ना, आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि how you are going to use these news in your answer writing process. So, if a question is asking about agriculture and allied sectors, maybe livestock, dairy, poultry, meat production, we can use this data. Then, as far as because they have a contribution to rural economy, because majorly these allied activities are being done in the rural areas. So they are contributing good in the rural economy sense. Employment generation is happening, agri-business. So in these kind of questions, you can use them. Then issues of productivity in the agricultural sector and how this is acting as a safety cushion. You can mention that breed improvement program, digital livestock traceability, the whole idea of integration of uh, animal husbandry or livestock in the Digital India mission. This is interlinking of that. Then government interventions of these kind of schemes. And they have a huge potential in the export market and value chain development. So one of these areas, this particular piece of news can be used. So any question, let's say one question I think I have taken up. Yes, in 2015, there was one question. Livestock rearing has a big potential for providing non-farm employment and income in rural areas. Discuss suggesting suitable measures to promote these sector in India. So at least tell me from 10 years before, 10 years after, that again same question can come up in the examination. This is where you understand you need to analyze previous year questions. That again how certain questions can be repeated, but again, of course the context would have changed. We are doing so much well on certain parameter, the report tells, they can ask you that again how we have done and what else could be done. So in comment, tell me basically what would be the approach which you will do for this particular piece of question. The next news is Union Cabinet has approved a scheme to manufacture rare earth permanent magnets in India. So again, rare earth permanent magnets are used in various new technologies. For example, electric vehicle, for example, different kind of, we are going to see them, wind turbines in in the aircraft sector. So this rare earth permanent, let's say magnets were basically imported. So what Indian government has done, why to depend so much on import of these permanent magnets, why not to manufacture them in India? And that is where the government has created a new scheme and a plan for 7 years, that again how we are going to reduce the dependence on this rare earth permanent magnets in India. So again, this is a very important piece of news as far as paper number 1 geography is concerned, paper number 3 Indian economy is concerned. So in paper number 3 in industrial policy, you can use this concept Atmanirbhar Bharat. You all know this. Strategic mineral security of India. We are not going to depend on foreign countries for the import of such kind of rare earth metals. Then technology ecosystems, then renewable energy value chain, because they are used in electric vehicles. So again, it is going to how improve the efficiency of value chain of India. So all of these are important piece of interlinkage as far as GS paper number 3 is concerned. Then let's look at what does the scheme talks about. So why is this scheme important? Number one, because we are depending hugely on import of these rare earth permanent magnets, and they are basically used for electric vehicles, renewable energy, electronic sector, aerospace, defense, as I discussed. And in order to ensure a long-term durable supply of these rare earth permanent magnets, this is where we need to manufacture it ourselves. Make in India. Why to depend on foreign countries? If we have a capability, why not to develop it? This is a very good step as far as the idea of Atmanirbharta Bharat or Atmanirbhar Bharat concept of India is concerned. So that is how we are talking about this. Then, what exactly are these rare earth permanent magnets? This is where you can talk it from the geographical perspective, why it is important. So, they are made from alloys of rare earth elements. So, basically, we extract the ore and then again we convert them into metals, and then alloys are being made, and then these alloys are converted into these rare earth permanent magnets. That is the process. And they are known for their very high, why they're very important, because they have exceptional magnetic strength, they have a high energy density, they have a better performance as compared to ordinary magnets, and they are very much essential with the new age technological developments or industries what are happening. So they are made through a process, and that process is called as sintering. Very important concept. They can ask you, sintering is in news or was in news. It is related to which of the following, and they can give you 4 options. So basically, this is a process which is used to make what? Rare earth permanent magnets, right? So what is sintering? Let's say you understand a clay pot, जो घड़े बनते हैं मिट्टी के. So how are they being made? So these clay plots are basically heated, and they are heated at a specific temperature so that they become hard and they can take up their shape. So this, in a similar manner, there are some alloys or some rare earth metals or which are converted into alloys. So they are heated at a very specific temperature, and then this rare earth permanent magnets are being made. So that is, this process is basically called as sintering. So sintering is basically heating magnet materials at a very high temperature without melting them, and they result in stronger magnets, high magnet performance, and more resistance to corrosion. And this is a very key step in the manufacturing of these rare earth permanent magnets. So we have understood the basic concepts. Again, this could be a probable questions for your prelims examination. Then what does this report talks about, or yes, Sarkar, the new policy, how they are planning to make it in the next 7 years. So what they have given a budget outlay of 7,280 crores. Not an important fact, but again, you can at least remember it because it is a very important strategic area where again government is investing. So this is how. So what they have also told that again 6,450 crores are going to be sales linked incentives. What are incentives? Let's say you all know about PLI scheme, production linked incentive scheme, which is happening in the manufacturing sector. So let's say, how will companies get encouraged to produce more? If, let's say, if I am selling, because understand, there are 2 scenarios. Let's say if I am an EV manufacturing company, right? I am EV vehicle manufacturing company. I need this rare earth permanent magnets as a raw material. Now I have 2 options. I can import it and I can get it from India itself. So to make the product competitive, right, this is where incentives are being given to the manufacturers of these rare earth permanent magnets in India, so that again they will get encouraged to sell more, and they are of course going to make such kind of, let's say, strategic or marketing things which is going to make their product more competitive as compared to the international market. This is where the scheme is going to come up. And then 750 crore subsidy is being given. So for the manufacturing of these kind of magnets, we require factory to be set up. So for that, 750 crore have been given for capital subsidy for setting up the facilities. The objective is that again, we are going to build 6,000 metric tons per annum of these permanent magnets every year. That is the capacity we have planned for. So how exactly we are going to do that? So government has told we are going to select 5 companies, and every company will be given a target of 1200 metric tons per annum. So that again and again, that is going to happen through a global competitive bidding to make it more transparent in nature, right? And this is again promoting the idea of competition and efficiency. This is a process. And the duration is what? We have planned it. This whole program is planned for 7 years. So the first 2 years, the facility is going to be set up. That is, we are going to make the factories and again everything. And the next 5 years, we are going to sell these permanent rare earth magnets in India, and incentives will be given for them. So this is a basic roadmap as far as this particular scheme of the government is concerned. Then, with respect to applications, again, very basic, that again they are widely used in electric vehicles, wind turbines, renewable energy sectors, smartphones, electronics, we have seen aerospace components, defense systems and missiles, radars and etc. So all of these are the areas where these rare earth permanent magnets are used as raw materials. So again, what is the expected outcome of this program of the government? So again, it is going to, of course, reduce the import dependence, boost the idea of Make in India, strategic manufacturing. Again, manufacturing acha hoga, what would happen? Giving a boost to economy, growth will happen in the economy. There would be more employment opportunities. That is how you're going to interlink them. Strengthening the supply chain from EV and renewable energy. People are not going to be dependent on importing these things. They are going to be made available in India itself. creating global competitiveness for Indian companies, and lastly, enhancing India's position in critical minerals and technology. So these are the potential outcomes which are expected from this program of the government. Very important, very good thing. Then the next news is 26th November. Every year we celebrate the Constitution Day. That again we adopted the Indian Constitution on this particular day on 26th November 1949. So again, a lot of events have happened yesterday. You must have come across in the newspapers. Our Honorable Prime Minister has also talked about the idea that again, as citizens, we need to follow the fundamental duties which are, of course, mentioned in the Constitution. So, as the Constitution of India has given us certain kind of fundamental rights, that as citizens, we are going to enjoy certain kind of fundamental rights, and these fundamental rights are made in such a manner that again, no law can be made which is violating fundamental rights. All of you must have read that. Now, if again the relation is not going to be one-sided, of course there is a give and take relationship. If government or the constitution is giving you certain kind of fundamental rights as citizens, you have also a certain set of duties to perform, right? This is where the idea of fundamental duties comes into picture. So the Prime Minister of India has talked about that citizens must actively uphold fundamental duties, which is going to make sure that again we are adhering to the democratic framework of the country. So what exactly are the fundamental duties? Basic facts. So again, they are under Article 51A. A means this has been added through an amendment to the Constitution. Sir, which amendment? Again, very important fact for your prelims examination, through 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, and it added Part 4A to the Constitution. That is, the new part of the Constitution 4 consists of DPSPs. Part 3 consists of what? Fundamental rights. Again, you can remember such facts as well. Again, on the basis of which committee? Again, important prelims facts. Swaran Singh committee gave a recommendation to include these duties. That is why it was included. Originally, 10 duties were there, but through the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002, which gave a right to education as a fundamental right, DPSP was changed, and again one duty was added. You're going to see them. The purpose of course is that again they are creating a moral responsibility that as citizens we have some moral responsibility towards the country. And this is something which have been mentioned in these 11 fundamental duties: to respect the nation, to protect unity, to maintain integrity, and to practice the idea of patriotism. And then they are non-justiciable. Maybe government cannot enforce them. These are just duties which are being told. It cannot be enforced, and government or the government cannot make you follow these duties. It is just a moral obligation what you have, and courts cannot force you to follow them. That is the basic idea of fundamental duties. They can ask one question over here, that again the original constitution contained how many fundamental duties? Only 10. Currently we have how many fundamental duties? We have 11. So these kind of facts based question could be asked in your prelims examination. Now let's look at the 10 or 11 fundamental duties. What do we have? To abide by the constitution and respect national flag and national anthem, to cherish freedom struggle ideas, to uphold sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to defend the country, to promote harmony and brotherhood, to preserve rich heritage of our composite culture, to protect natural environment, to develop scientific temper and humanism, to safeguard public property, to strive for excellence, and the recent added one is provide education to children between the age group of 6 to 14 years. If you look at and if you read them, are they something very difficult to follow? These are some moral obligations which as citizens of the country we need to follow for the country. So that is something very much required, and all of us have to follow these basic duties as good citizens of the country. Clear? So now we have a debate between rights and duties. So basically they are maybe two sides of the same coin, I can tell that. So they are complementing to each other. Let's say if the state has given, the constitution has given a certain kind of a rights, if governments have is again are maybe it is the rights are putting negative obligations on the government, it is our responsibility also to perform certain kind of a duty. So again both go hand in hand with each other. right? So you can enjoy rights properly only when everyone perform their duties. That is how it is. To maintain balance in democracy, that your rights don't harm someone else, because many times you understand that by enjoying your fundamental rights, maybe sometimes in a manner you are, let's say, maybe harming someone else's fundamental rights. So again, these duties which we have discussed is going to make sure that society stays in a peaceful and cooperative manner. Then it is again giving a moral linkage, that again we need to have discipline, we need to respect the institutions, we need to respect the constitutional values. What do we have? Then as far as the sustainable rights are concerned, that again it tells ki if citizens follow these rights in a clear manner, then only these maybe the duty is going to make sure that again the long-term strength of idea of rights is going to be there in the society. Some important philosophers have given their idea with respect to duty-based life. Honorable Mahatma Gandhi ji has said the true source of rights is from duty. अगर आप अच्छी duty करेंगे, then only you can enjoy, and this is the source of your rights. So he tells, if you do your duty sincerely, your rights will naturally follow this duty. And again, he has given true rights come from performing certain kind of obligations. Plato has said that a just state means an ideal state, is built only when everyone is performing their assigned duties. Then only we can expect an ideal state or a just state. That is when citizens fulfill their responsibilities and society becomes harmonious. Immanuel Kant, he is also a philosopher who talks about that again morality comes from duty. That again, how can you expect citizens to behave in a moral manner? This is where duty comes, or duty defines what kind of morality is expected from you. So actions are ethical when, and how can you judge when your action is ethical or unethical? Where again you are abiding by the duties. So this is called as categorical imperative as per Immanuel Kant. So again, a very important piece of philosophers. You can use them in your, a very important piece of philosophers for your ethics GS paper number 4. So that's why very important news from prelims and mains perspective both. Fundamental duties as a chapter is again in news, so that gives you a hint that about all chapters of polity, fundamental duties is important for your next year prelims examination. Clear? Moving on to the places news, Slovenia was in news. Why? Because we are having a trade agreement or bilateral trades where have been discussed between India and Slovenia joint committee. So it is a news. Look at the capital city, look at the neighboring countries, right? Where is it located? It is located basically in the Central Europe, right? And it is a part of European Union since 1st May 2024. Right here it is Adriatic Sea, very important strategic position, right? So basic geographical features, what kind of region is there? It is an alpine region. It has what kind of topography, karst topography is there, right? Major rivers, the temperate continental type of climate is found here. So all such basic facts you are going to read about Slovenia because it was in news, and map or place in news based questions are usually asked every year in the prelims examination. Clear? Moving on to the quick updates for the day. So the very first is the idea of Article 141. So Article 141 of Indian Constitution tells that any judgment of Supreme Court which has been given has to be made sure that again it is uniformly may be followed by all courts of the country, all high courts, district courts, everyone. So that is the idea which has been put forward under Article 141. Example what? Let's say if Supreme Court have given an order, let's say Delhi High Court is interpreting that order in a different manner, Chhattisgarh High Court is interpreting that order in a different manner. This is not correct because uniformity of law has to be there in the country. This is where Article 141 comes up, which is binding that again any law which has been declared by Supreme Court is binding on all courts of India. And this is going to ensure uniformity of legal interpretation across all states and lower courts of India. So recently Supreme Court has flagged this issue that again many of the benches of high courts are overturning earlier orders, and and there is slightly inconsistency in following the law which are made by the Supreme Court, right? So this is where Supreme Court has flagged this issue, and again it has again revised or revived the idea of Article 141, that again, in order to maintain uniformity, in order to maintain interpretation of a law in a uniform manner across the country, we need to stay consistent, and every high court, every lower court is going to follow the order of Supreme Court in a manner, right? So Supreme Court is, of course, you know, it is the guardian of Indian Constitution, legal protector of the Constitution, judiciary, of course. So on statutory and constitutional matters, they carry ultimate legal weight. So the scope of Article 141 does not tell ki line by line you need to follow the order. So there are two parts of any decision. It is called as ratio decidendi, that is core reasoning, the basic fundamental of that particular piece of decision by the court or interpretation of a matter of any law, that has to be followed. That is something that is binding on all states and all high courts, all district courts. But there is obiter dictata, there is some incidental remarks, some side remarks, which is not binding to be followed. Very important piece. Article 141 is in news. So again, important fact for your prelims examination. The next topic is International Institution for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. So recently, the Chief Election Commissioner of India is going to take the chairmanship of this international body. So this is basically an international body of different countries who are a party to this, which is promoting the idea of democracy in a world mind, good democratic principles, good election practices. All of these are being discussed. Electoral support, constitutional building, democratic assessments, all of these is being done in this particular body. So this consists basically of 35 member countries. USA and Japan are currently the observer status. India is a permanent member, and this time the Chief Election Commissioner of India is going to preside as a chairman of this particular body. So that is how it was in news. Any body, institution coming up in news, very important for your prelims examination. The next topic is maintenance, repair, and overall MRO of saffron facility have been inaugurated by our Honorable Prime Minister in Hyderabad. So basically, you understand that again, flights which you see are of course in the skies. So they also need to be maintained. They also need to be, let's say, checked time and again with respect to their efficiency. So recently, our Honorable Prime Minister has maybe inaugurated a saffron's MRO facility of LEAP aircraft engines in Hyderabad. So what exactly is this LEAP engine? So basically the next generation engine, because we are fighting climate change, we need to make sure that the planes are also running on an efficient manner. This is where this LEAP engines comes into picture. So they are basically more fuel efficient, low emission commercial aircraft, which is made by CFM International as a company. So what exactly this maintenance, repair, and overall facility? So it ensures every aircraft engine which is there, any part systems, all are airworthy and they are mission ready for the defense aircraft, of course. And they covers all routine maintenance, repair, inspection, overhauls, and component replacement in case of requirement. So this is something which have been inaugurated in Hyderabad, because many a time India used to depend on foreign companies for this MRO facility. So again, boosting the idea of Make in India, and again Atmanirbharta, and again reducing dependence on these foreign MROs. The next news is, again, a species is in news. Whenever a species is in news, Finn's weaver, just picturize him. Right, so very beautiful bird. So it is in news. Why? Because it is basically found in the Terai region, that is a region between India and Nepal, a Greenland, grassland region over there. Right, so there the number of these birds which are being found over here, they are silently disappearing. So that is why it is in news. So it is an endangered grassland bird in the Terai region between India and Nepal's Terai grassland region. So it is basically disappearing. And again, basic fundamentals, what is scientific name? It is also called as yellow weaver, Himalayan weaver, and in Uttarakhand it is called as Pahari Baya. And they are basically found in India and Nepal Terai region. And they are found in what kind of habitat? They are found in marshy grounds, tall grasses, water edge vegetation. The IUCN status is endangered. And why they are endangered? Because of habitat loss. farming expansion, grassland reclamation, and nest predation. Fact है, species news में है, so that makes out of all species in environment which you read, such species which were in news are important for your examination. The next news is PM1. All of you know about the condition of air quality in Delhi. So as of now, the systems which are monitoring the air quality or AQI of the country, they are not capable to track how much PM1 particles are there in the air. So we track PM 2.5, we track PM 10, but again the system or the machinery is not capable to track PM 1, which is also present and also very important component of air pollution in Delhi. So that is why it was in news. So again, the diameter is of course less than 1 micron, and again understand this is, if you imagine a piece of hair, 1/50th is approximately PM 2.5 and 1 is maybe even less. Basically, they are found from vehicle exhaust, industrial emissions, combustion, very, in fact, very tiny particles which can enter our body. It can affect and it can enter in our blood streams, affect the functioning of bodies, your lungs, kidneys, many things, right? And again, regulation gap is there. That is why it was in news, PM1. Then the next news is Juno Neutrino Observatory. China has completed the in underground the project of this Juno. It is Jiangmen Underground Neutrino Observatory. So of course you understand neutrinos, very tiny particles which cannot be seen through naked eyes. They cross your body and you cannot feel that. This is where, in order to understand that particle of neutrino, China was making an observatory which is called as Juno, which has been completed. So it is going to make sure that how exactly this neutrino oscillations are happening and neutrino mass ordering, and it is again going to help us answer a few questions about nature of matter and universe. And it is not related to Juno, that is Japan's let's say Jupiter mission. So again, the name is very similar, but again, that is JAXA of Japan, the observatory over there. So again, these two are different concepts. The next topic is Commonwealth. India is going to hold the centenary edition. So 1930, this Commonwealth Game Association was formed. 2030, it is going to complete 100 years. So India is being chosen as the country to host these games. Ahmedabad is the officially selected city. So basically, this is basically a game which began in the year 1930. India has also hosted the 19th Commonwealth Games in 2010 in Delhi. Right. So again, basic facts around this Commonwealth Games and currently 56 member countries. Important fact because it is in news. Again, a question can be asked in prelims examination. The next topic is Pradhan Mantri Jan Vikas Karyakram. So again, you talk about the ideas of minorities in the country. So our constitution defines two types of minorities: linguistic minorities and religious minorities, right? So again, tell me which constitution article talks about it. So this is a scheme which is talking about the welfare of minorities in the country. So again, there are some regions where again minorities are primarily staying. So for those regions, there is going to be something called as minority concentrated area, where again minorities are primarily staying over there. So again, we are going to make sure good schools, health centers, hostels, community halls, sanitation, good drinking water, skill development programs, livelihood infrastructure would be there. It is a scheme under Ministry of Minority Affairs, centrally sponsored scheme. Important facts. ऐसे ही पूछेंगे आपके around certain schemes, and again whether it is centrally sponsored, central sector, which ministry it is coming from, right? It is covering all districts which are meeting certain minority population. किस criteria पे मिलेगा that this particular program, that in any area around 15-kilometer radius, if the population is consisting of 25% of the population over there is, or more than 25% population is minority, then again this program will be applicable over there as far as that. Then we have SNS Sparsh, which is going to make sure that the funds are being maybe done or given in a very equitable manner. That is a basic idea, interlinking it with the RBI's e-Kuber to enable real-time, just-in-time fund flow and better cash management as far as this particular scheme is concerned. So now we come to an end of today's discussion. So all important questions which could be framed from the topics which I have discussed will pop up in your screen. It is your responsibility to solve those questions, because it is the only thing which is going to make sure that you are progressing in your examination preparation journey with respect to current affairs preparation, right? So do that. And again, lastly, Vision has come up with digital current affairs platform. You're going to explore it, one-stop solution for all current affairs thing as far as UPSC examination is concerned. So please navigate the website. It is going to help you a lot with respect to your current affairs preparation for the examination. So thank you so very much and all the very best.